In this video, we're going to go over the workflow that you should follow when you're first opening up the task, what are some of the best practices that you could follow, as well as what are some ways that you could adjust the settings in order to make your tasking easier. First, you should always open up camera view just to get an idea of where you're at, objects in the scene, maybe some particular areas that are difficult, and also just some areas to focus on. To do this, you can click on the camera view on the bottom, and then you'll go forward from frame 1 all the way to the end just to get a better understanding of maybe the different areas in this task, the different objects that might be visible, surfaces, just helping you to what we call build context or just better understand what you're going to be working on for the next for the rest of this task. So here I'm scrolling forward, just keeping an eye out, looking at all the different objects. I see all these trees on the side, quite a lot of parking lots. Again, this is an industrial area, so there's going to be quite a lot of parking lots, drivable regions, as well as all these grassy and vegetation areas along the sides of the road. So as you're going through this, you should just be sort of just understanding what's going on, but also thinking about maybe some tricky areas that might be a little bit difficult to annotate. One potential one is I see all of these objects above the grass and on top of this grass surface. So we're going to need to make sure that we exclude these, especially poles like this, fire hydrants, these boxes here. Typically, it's really easy to accidentally include them, but that's one thing that you're going to have to focus on to avoid including. Once you've reached the end of the task, it's always a good practice just to go check out the other camera angles. Maybe you could skip over camera 1. Camera 1's just a wider view of the front camera. However, if you go to camera 2 and camera 3, those are the sides, the left side and the right side. And you could just go backwards, again, just looking out for objects, looking at, here we could see a big patch of grass is missing. See a big pile of grass, of leaves on the road there. Another parking lot. I see signs attached to these poles. That's going to be something that we're going to have to focus on. And then I see that we're near an intersection over here as well, so we're going to have to focus on labeling all of these traffic lights, this traffic signs, as well as all the other traffic signs in this intersection. So this is always good practice. Just go forwards and backwards throughout all of the frames and using all of the different camera views just to get a better understanding of the scene and to familiarize yourself and find your bearings. Once you're done with that, you could always close out the camera view by clicking on the X in the top right corner. The next thing that you should do is adjust the settings. Again, you might adjust the settings multiple times throughout the task. However, initially, you might want to adjust the size of the points. To do this, you can go to Scene, and you could adjust things like the point size here, which makes the points a little bit larger, as well as the max point distance. This is a very useful setting to use. If you're annotating, noise or something that goes really far away, you might want to turn this up all the way to the max. However, if you're only focusing on a really small portion of the task, for example, maybe a really small pole, turning this down is actually not going to affect what you see, and it's going to actually improve your system's performance as you're working on smaller objects that don't require vision 500 at the max, essentially. The other thing you might want to adjust, depending on whatever you're working on, is the photo colors. Adjusting this will just turn off or turn on. Again, if you're annotating something that's difficult to separate out normally, using the photo colors is helpful because you'll be able to see the colors of the object you're annotating and the difference in colors between that object and nearby objects. And then also one other useful one is the label colors. This is useful for just checking whether or not those points are labeled correctly. I often use this setting with the photo color tool just to double check any annotations or to see if something is pre-labeled correctly. The last one is point density. This one I don't really affect too much. Again, you could turn this down if your system requires it. However, it's usually helpful to just keep it to the max so you could see all of the points in the scene and the points related to your objects. Those are the main settings that you're going to be adjusting. But again, this is the general workflow you should follow whenever you're opening up a task, just to help, one, build context by using camera view, getting a better understanding of the scene, and then second, doing some initial adjustments to the settings to make it run easier and smoother on your system, making your life much easier. Hopefully this makes sense. Please continue on with the rest of the course, or I'll see you in the next video.